I'm Casey Kasem. Casey's Top 40 originates in Hollywood. Well, you know, this week marks the 5th anniversary of the momentous recording session People magazine called The Night Rock and Roll Cried. January 28th, 1985 was a star-studded night as 45 major artists arrived at the A&M recording studios here in Hollywood to donate their time and talents to help feed the starving people of Africa.
There comes a time.
A lot of them had been in L.A. earlier that day for the American Music Awards. Others flew in especially for the session. Under the direction of Quincy Jones, they were there to sing a song of hope, a song written by Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie, a song that would go on to become the biggest selling single of the 1980s. Many of the artists had never met before, but they worked together through the night as if they'd been doing it for years. Stevie Wonder coached Bob Dylan on his vocals. Michael Jackson and Willie Nelson talked together in a corner, while Bruce Springsteen compared notes with Ray Charles and Tina Turner. Diana Ross passed around a piece of sheet music and asked everyone to autograph it for posterity. But there were more serious moments that night, too. Singer James Ingram recalls that at one point, 2 African women came in and in graphic terms painted a picture of grim suffering in Ethiopia. James says it was a powerful moment, and more than one person had to hold back tears. The record that came out of that all-night recording session was an international phenomenon. It quickly went to #1, but even more important than that, it raised awareness of the plight of those less fortunate than we. It raised something else, too. $40 million to help in the fight against African hunger. Here's a piece of that record. That's Lionel Richie, Billy Joel, Bette Midler, Huey Lewis, Dionne Warwick, and 40 other stars singing as USA for Africa on We Are the World. Recorded the night rock and roll cried. 5 years ago this week. Coming up as we roll into the second hour of our survey, a listener in Colorado wants to know, in the rock era, which #1 song had the most people singing on it? Well, it had 45 voices and raised nearly $45 million. And it all began with just a phone call.
Casey's Coast to Coast. Casey's Top 40.
Well, now we're up to that question from a listener. Julie McNamara in Colorado Springs, Colorado wants to know, in the rock era, which #1 song had the most people singing on it? Well, Julie, it was a song that began with a phone call. Late in 1984, Bob Geldof assembled a British supergroup called Band Aid, and they raised money for Ethiopian famine relief. Here in the USA, respected singer Harry Belafonte thought African-American stars should also help Africa, so he called a Hollywood talent manager named Ken Cragen. Ken called his client Lionel Richie. And a day later, Lionel's wife told Stevie Wonder about the project. Stevie said he wanted to help. Meanwhile, Ken Cragen invited super producer Quincy Jones on board, and Quincy asked Michael Jackson to write a song, which he did with Lionel Richie. The project was snowballing, and soon everyone wanted to get involved. So on the evening of January 28th, 1985, right after the American Music Awards, a host of stars gathered in a Hollywood recording studio. Stars like Bob Dylan, Paul Simon, Diana Ross, Bruce Springsteen, Bette Midler, and Ray Charles. A total of 45 of the biggest names in music sang together to help save the hungry. Their song not only hit #1, it also raised almost $45 million for African famine relief. There's your answer, Julie. The #1 song that had the most people singing on it was We Are the World by the 45-voice group USA for Africa. Good question. Thanks for writing in. As the countdown rolls on.
Casey's Top